What's up, YouTube? Been a minute. Just wanted to tap in with y'all, give y'all some updates. I know I've been MIA for a little bit. Like the title says, your boy's back on the job market. I lasted a total of 3.5 weeks at my most current job. Now, I know what you're thinking. What happened? Well, long story short, I quit. I resigned. Probably a dumb thing to do without having another job lined up, but this job was, I wouldn't say it's a nightmare, but it wasn't good. So the first thing is this job I worked for, I noticed when the recruiter reached out to me, he told me, hey, we've had lots of issues with people leaving this job. So far, two guys in the past 2 months have left, so hopefully you'll stick with the company. Red flag right there, okay. Two, that same recruiter during a couple of interviews was also like talking down on one of the guys, talking about how much he just disliked the guy, which I thought was pretty unprofessional. That was red flag two. Red flag three was when I got essentially to like my final round. I hadn't really like looked up the company on Glassdoor. I looked up the company on Glassdoor and they had a 1.9 rating. 1.9 is not good. So I actually brought that up to the recruiter and said, hey, I know I'm a finalist for this position or whatever. I see you guys for this role have a 1.9 company rating. What's that about? And the guy immediately got defensive and snappy. Oh, it's just a couple of disgruntled employees. But I'll tell you what. I mean, if you don't want the job, then I'll just go find somebody else. Red flag three. So long story short, this place was kind of whack. So one thing that I definitely did not like, it was not remote. Yes, I've been spoiled by remote work. That is true. But this is about a good hour, 10-minute drive each day, 5 days a week on site. Not even that hybrid stuff. I drive into work every day just to basically talk to my team who is all in India, which to me, this doesn't make sense. Why am I going on site just to do, we didn't use Teams, what did we use? Ring Central, I want to say, whatever. So already, just right off top, that was trash. Also, too, the building that this place was in some very crappy, like office building space that probably was built in the 70s. Definitely hasn't been updated since, and just kind of slightly dilapidated. Like not horrible, but it's not like they had some nice new office, and you could kind of understand why they want people in the office. This was like your 70s style crappy cubicles, and it wasn't it. And I'm not some OCD clean freak, but I will say they had like a lunchroom or whatever, and they had two microwaves. Absolute filth. The entire month I was there, I never saw the microwaves get cleaned at all. It was just caked on layers of food, and you could smell all sorts of curry dishes people had already warmed up in it. And every time I had to warm up something in it, I had to visibly try not to vomit. Like, if you're gonna make people go into the office, you gotta have bathrooms gotta be clean. Their bathrooms were okay, but the kitchen gotta be clean too, because if I'm on site, I'm not somebody who's going to go out to eat every single day. That's just stupid to me. I'm also somebody who tends to like to meal prep, so I got my food, already ready to go. I gotta warm it, and then I have to have my food in this disgusting microwave. So I didn't like that. But the main reason I left the company was very first assignment that I get. They assigned me an eight point story, which at first I thought they were a joke when we were in the refinement, and they said, okay, I think Alex can go ahead and take this 8 point story. Kind of like my very first task. Like I have yet to see the code base, and they gave me an 8 point story. Okay, I'll give it a go, give it a good old fashioned college try, whatever. So basically, this 8 point story had 6 tasks. First 5 tasks really were easy enough. One was like conditionally rendering a button. Next UI task was, well, most of them pretty much hooking stuff up to different endpoints. So our back end was C#.net. So pretty much, we're hitting an API, displaying some data, or getting something to do, and that's pretty much all I had to do was modify existing logic, get these API endpoints hooked up, and everything else kind of works. Easy enough. The last task, which also involved hitting an API endpoint, but also involved a whole ton of Redux related logic that already existed. We're talking about there's a couple of different Redux files that are 2,000 lines long that have a lot of this logic for what this endpoint action needs to do. It's basically some kind of a file import thing. So long story short, I get the first 5 tasks, get them knocked out in like 3 days. I'm like, oh, I'm making good time. This last task, I was told, really, if I just hit this endpoint, stuff should mostly work. It did not work. There's a lot of other logic involved when you hit this endpoint where we had similar stuff happening within the application. But essentially, the application was built to only account for one specific use case. My story was essentially adding another use case, another type of file import, basically. But everything else in the app is structured for this existing file type that has all these other properties it's mapping through, and this is happening, and there's nested ternary operator within nested ternary operator within, like, all this crazy stuff. Some of these functions I'm looking at, 70-line functions, multiple Redux Saga files. Like, it's a lot. We talking about heavy. So basically, I get about 85% done with this final task, and I get stuck. After about a day and a half, I say, hey, I'm stuck on this, don't really know what else to try. My essentially team lead / kind of manager, who's a backend guy, just says, well, it shouldn't be that hard. All you should have to do is hook it up to this API endpoint. I know what needs to be done. I'm telling you, I cannot implement it as being told. So another couple days pass. DSUs happen. I say, hey, I'm still stuck on this. Can we maybe get somebody familiar with the code base to kind of help me out on this? I'm about 85% through. Can't quite get the logic working. Can somebody help me? Still, basically almost refuse to get somebody to help me. Then finally, like another day later, somebody has about 20 minutes to, look at the code with me. A UI person who's been there a couple of years. He tells me, well, I've only got about half an hour to look at this. Oh, you're in this area of the code? Oh, this would take me an entire day to even begin to understand what's going on. Okay, so yeah, it's pretty damn complex. So I'm stuck on this. What are we gonna do? Oh man, I guess we just gotta figure it out. So essentially, like, a week has passed where I've been stuck on this last part, and I'm still being asked by my team lead / manager guy, whatever, hey, we need to get this done. Are you done yet? I'm like, no, I'm stuck, and I've tried everything I know how. I need help on this. Like, I don't know what else to do. And he just kind of like, one time just like stared at me 30 seconds straight. He doesn't say anything. I don't say anything. I'm like, I've tried everything I know how. Okay, so nothing? All right. And then finally, I think this is like then Friday at this point, and finally, after being stuck for an entire week, keep in mind too, this whole like the whole week I was stuck. Like, I obsess over certain stuff, so I'm working like 11-hour days, taking a quick 10-minute lunch break. I even started getting up 2 hours earlier, so like at 5 a.m. to drive an hour 10 minutes to get to my job early, so I could try to have progress done for this story by the 9 a.m. DSU. And still, I'm stuck. So finally that Friday, I get it told, like, or asked, hey, Alex, are you done with that yet? I'm like, no, I've been asking for help. I don't know what else to do. And then some other, I think it was project manager, basically says, well, just FYI, no pressure, but as soon as you're done with this, we're then going to need you to do the same thing for another different type of file that we'd like to add to the code. And just with seeing how the code was structured to basically it's rigidly coded to where it only works currently for one file type. And I'm struggling with this new file type they're adding. And then being told that Friday, oh, actually, you're going to have to add another one. I kind of just lost it. So I basically stayed there till around lunchtime, walked out, sent an email. Hey, I resigned. So it was one of those things that was pretty crazy too, because pretty much that last week, Like I said, I'm working like 11, 12-hour days, 10-minute lunch breaks. I lost like 4 pounds because I wasn't really eating, I just scarfed down some food real quick, wasn't going to the gym. As soon as I get home, all I could think about is how to finish this task. Still thinking about it. Can't even fall asleep at night because I'm still thinking about it. Getting like 4 hours of sleep a night. So then when I wake up the next mornings, I'm taking like an energy drink to wake up. I'm like tweaking, I'm like driving, I'm tired, but I'm also like tweaking off caffeine and just out here looking like a fiend, you know what I'm saying? So long story short, man, I see why that company had a 1.9 Glassdoor review. I couldn't do it, I look at it like if I've got this much stress to where in 1 week of me, trying to getting stuck on this one part and basically putting in all these hours to try to fix it, asking for help, still not getting it. If I'm like that my third, fourth week at the job, it's only going to get worse from there. So I had to bounce, man. I had to bounce. But at least on the plus side, I will say things kind of looking up. I got a couple interviews lined up this week. It kind of looks like the market's starting to pick up just a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. But, these jobs, I'm not about to kill myself for these jobs, man. I was just on LinkedIn 2 days ago. I saw some story pop up of some chick from like India or something somebody posted for her basically saying that this chick was really overworked, stressed about her job, and I don't know if she had a heart attack or a stroke, but basically she was a younger lady too, like under 30, basically passed away from working all these crazy hours and being so stressed. And at the end of the day, these companies don't really care about you like that. It's not worth your mental and physical health because if something happens to you, like I almost got into a car accident driving because I was just nodding out or whatever and so stressed I'm not paying attention. Like if something happens to you, these companies they'll send an email or something, saying, hey, so and so passed away, and then right next to the next one, okay, who can we get to fill that spot? You just another number, you know what I'm saying? So it's not even worth it doing all this for a company that don't give a damn about you. Because if something happens to you mentally or physically, you're replaceable. They're just gonna find another you. So it's not worth your health, none of that. So just kind of how I look at it. That's just the type of time I'm on right now these days. You see with all these layoffs, we see what it is with these companies. So you gotta do what's best for yourself. So yeah, back on the job market. Hopefully I can find something and just gonna try to be positive, but just wanted to tap in with y'all. Let me know what y'all think. Was I wilding for, leaving that job after less than a month? Maybe I was being soft. I don't know. I didn't think I was. I immediately felt better a couple days after quitting that job. I felt so much better. And I've never left a job. Never, ever. I mean, not without having one lined up, you know what I'm saying? So for me to just quit a job with no plan B, that had to tell you how bad it was. So just want to tap in with y'all. Hope y'all doing good, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.